Hello, guys. Good morning and welcome to the show. Now, listen, I want to talk logically about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies for a second. What do you think is the most logical thing that's going to happen? Do you think that cryptocurrency is suddenly just going to disappear now at this point? Or maybe the worldwide internet's going to go down? Or perhaps it's going to start to all shrink back and disappear, and everybody's just going to sell it off. It's going to go down to zero or anything like that. Do you think that's the most in a scenario? Do you think that that's the most percentage-wise? If you're going to rate it percentage-wise, do you think that that's what's going to happen, or do you think it's more likely that it's going to continue to advance like it has been since 2009 until now, and keep gaining more and more? More and more participants, more and more businesses, more and more applications that are using it. I'm going to tell you what I think. I think, as a trends forecaster, I see the trends, which way the trend is going with cryptocurrency. I see it advancing. I see more and more apps being built to facilitate trade with the cryptocurrency. I see the network expanding. I see this trend as a trend. I see this continuing. I don't see this disappearing. And I also witnessed that Bitcoin is the king of the coins. I think the most likely outcome here, in my opinion, is that these trends are going to continue into the future, and Bitcoin's going to obtain more and more acceptance. I see things like, when I watch the regular news now, there was a time when the regular news would never talk about Bitcoin. Now they'll say, well, gold's up today and Bitcoin's up today, or whatever. It's become a talking point. It's grown that much from its infancy, back when somebody actually thought he was getting a good deal for 7,000 Bitcoins for a pizza, because there was no place to spend it back then. Nobody knew what the stuff was. And it had people that were into it and stuff. It was kind of like a small group, almost like when you see these people who you ever seen these stores and stuff where they sell comic books and stuff, and they have comic book conventions and stuff, and they'll trade cards and stuff. It was almost like that sort of a deal, right? Now look how far it's come. Seriously. I only see this trend continuing, and I can see it going into mass adoption. Now, that's what I see as the most likely outcome for cryptocurrency. And I'm going to tell you what, there's certain things happening that go unnoticed right now. Everybody was talking about a Bitcoin ETF. Let's get right in there, and let's open up the charts right here and take a look at what's going on. What we're going to take a look at is nobody's watching it anymore. Everybody's sitting back and thinking, hey, you know what? They're not talking about the ETFs anymore. Suddenly, while nobody's looking, the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, right now is reviewing 2 Bitcoin ETF proposals. Now, you have to understand something. When these guys are putting forth these new proposals, they know why the last guy failed. The SEC told them why he failed. And they're not going to try to make the same mistakes. They're going to keep pushing. And the SEC, well, I'll just tell you a story. I was building a house years ago, in Deltona, Florida. And the first time I tried to get it through safety inspections, me and my father, we installed the windows, and I installed the windows in the house, and I didn't know about the safety laws and safety regulations and stuff. And I didn't install the right size for fire exits and stuff, and they come in, they measured it, and they say, this is all wrong. It's not going to pass, with the inspectors. But I kept working with the inspectors and having them come out and check on what I was doing, and I kept trying to make modifications to make it meet their standards. This is the way with the SEC. They're like an inspector. They're inspecting these proposals. Now, the more you work with them, and the more these companies are working with the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, and the more they're making these proposals match what the SEC is looking for, the more likely, sooner or later, one of them is going to get the clearance, is going to get the go-ahead. And while we're not watching, while we're sitting here, just nobody's paying any attention anymore, one of these ones is going to get the pass, the nod. And then it's going to make big news. And it could drive Bitcoin up quite a little bit, you know. So they're now reviewing 2 Bitcoin exchange-traded fund proposals. Oh, by the way, the end of that story was I did get the House windows passed. I worked with the safety inspectors until finally they said, hey, you know what? We passed this one. This one looks pretty good. It took me about 4 tries. You know, because they have so many laws and regulations. It has to be certain height off the ground. The windows were a real pain in the butt. Anyway, but I got it done. So here, it says, for the first time since August, there are now multiple Bitcoin exchange-traded fund proposals sitting before the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. There's one called SolidX proposal, and there's several of them anyway, and they're trying. They're keeping pushing. They're working at it, and the SEC's working with them. And after a while, you watch, both sides will come to an agreement, and pow, they'll have it. Once one guy has it, and he's got through, then they're much more likely to pass the next guy if he follows those same guidelines. And first thing you know, there'll be 2 or 3 different exchange-traded funds in Bitcoin. This is coming. I can see this coming. This is a trend. Bitcoin's going to be an ETF. This is just the way it is. And so we got that coming around. So what's next? Well, you know, this is really big. This is really big. The biggest, Samsung. I'm going to tell you what, Samsung phones, listen, Apple, they've got their phones, Apple iPhones or whatever, and they're a big famous phone company. But, you know, Samsung is right in there. And an awful lot of people have Samsung phones and absolutely love them. And this is a huge telephone company. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to put a hardware wallet right installed inside the phone when you buy the phone. Doesn't this tell you how far cryptocurrency has come? Because everybody has a phone, a cell phone. You watch. Apple will probably adopt something similar. You know, I haven't heard about what Apple's doing with it. They'll probably adopt something similar. So all the phones out there, when you buy the phone, probably looking at a year or 2, looking at this trend that's developing, a year or 2 into the future, your phone will come pre-installed with a wallet that's basically a bank. You're your own bank. This is going to empty out the shell of the banking institutions. I mean, what are they good for? What have they been good for? They've been banks, and there was no other place to go. You had to put your money in the bank because where else are you going to go? Now you can put your money in your phone, and your phone is your bank. And I'm going to tell you what, it's just as hard to steal your money. Say you dropped your phone someplace or something, you know? You've got your security words back at your house. So meanwhile, while this thief stole your phone, say he's trying to get inside your Bitcoin wallet on your phone, you know? You got a password, and he's trying to work through that password or whatever to get into your wallet. Meanwhile, you know you've lost your phone. You can go home, and you can use those words and transfer all of your coins out of that wallet using those keywords. There's a dozen keywords you write down when you install a wallet, you know? And so you can empty that wallet out even though he's got your phone. Say you leave your phone in the taxi cab, you know? Okay, and the taxi cab driver gets your phone. You know, you call the taxi cab company and you say, "Did you find my phone?" And they say no, but you know the taxi cab driver's got your phone. You can get those coins out of there while he still has the phone. You know, and there's an awful lot of security with cryptocurrencies. It's probably nearly as secure as a bank, as far as I'm concerned. You know. If you're careful and you follow the instructions properly. And you know, everybody, okay, moving 5-10 years into the future, even little kids are going to know how to use cryptocurrency at that point in time. And everybody's going to be buying it, I think, myself, you know. When all of these other people buy in, you know, and the kids know how to use it and everybody's using it, that's when, right now, when it's difficult to use, right now, when it's difficult to buy, right now, when it's difficult, there's a learning curve and everything else, the price is cheap on cryptocurrency. By the time everybody out there and their dog is using this stuff, you're not going to be able to afford to buy but tiny little increments of it because it's going to be so expensive. And we're talking about the top cryptocurrencies here. Now, a lot of them are going to die. Let's just face it, there's thousands of cryptocurrencies. A lot of them are going to die, But there's going to be ones. It's just exactly, I'll tell you what it's like, exactly like the motor car company when they first come out with automobiles. A whole bunch of little auto manufacturers sprung up everywhere. But eventually it boiled down to the big ones. GM, Ford, American Motors, and the big three. They used to have the big three. They called it the big three. And they made Detroit into Motown. Motown Records, Motown. Motortown stood for Motortown. Anyway, getting back to the conversation here about they're going to install it right on your Galaxy S10. It says it's official. The Samsung Galaxy S10 can store your cryptocurrency. Samsung Galaxy S10 contains the crypto storage hardware right on it. Samsung, so basically, you're going to have it right on your phone. You're going to be able to store and safely. It's Galaxy X10 is built with defense-grade Samsung Knox, as well as secure storage backed by hardware, which houses your private keys for blockchain-enabled mobile services. It's not completely clear whether the new phone will come equipped with its own native crypto wallet interface or if third-party developers will need to create wallets that can be used in tandem with the phone's hardware. So there we go. The new Samsungs. Okay? So what we're going to find is as cryptocurrency adoption spreads, you're going to find more people buying the Samsungs because they want this hardware wallet. Next thing you know, Apple's going to say, hey, you know what? We're going to put it on our phones too, guys. Come to us. We're going to have it on the new Apple whatever. This is spreading, it's proliferating. And it's being adopted. I see these trends continuing. Let's face it seriously. There's a lot of negative energy out there around cryptocurrency right now, because we went through an enormous fall in price, a bear market. But that's only because it was in a bubble. It was in a bubble. You notice I used the past tense? It's not in a bubble now, right? That bubble's been deflated. Just like the gold and silver bubble. Gold and silver were in a bubble a while ago, and they've came down in price down to where they've deflated. Silver was up to $50. Silver's not at $50 anymore. It's barely hanging on to $16. So it's been deflated. The cryptocurrency has been deflated already. It's come down from $20,000 all the way down to it made lows in there around 3,200 or something. It's come down a hell of a long way. And right now it's only running at just under 4,000. The air's come out of it already. But now we're looking at much more. Back when it was $20,000, it hadn't spread so much. If this was a cancer, back when it was $20,000, the cancer was more small and localized. Now it's metastasizing all through the body, but the price is down. So it's getting ready to go into its next cycle, which will be for it to go up and up and up. It starts slowly at first. It always starts slowly. The price starts heating up slowly. And then what happens in the mania starts. And then what'll happen is this next wave will spread it much more widespread throughout the world so that more people will know about it, more people will start using it, more companies will pop up. Because this is going to become the internet of money as far as I'm concerned. So you got your chances now. You can get on the bandwagon. I'm going to tell you what. Don't underestimate gold and silver either. It's all good stuff. Gold, silver. Really, in my opinion only, you should have not only real physical gold and silver in your possession, but you should also have cryptocurrency in your possession. And don't store it on an exchange or anything like that. Have everything in your possession. So your cryptocurrency, I like the hardware wallets, and you got your your words you put away. That's the key. You know, that's the key to your private keys, is those words. And those words, you got to be very careful where you put them. You know, you got to treat it like you're treating gold or something. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening to this report, and we'll catch you very soon again. Bye-bye, guys.